All right, so this morning I was reading Proverbs 27:19, and it says that as water reflects a person's face when you look in the water, so your life reflects your heart. And so it's this idea, your life, the circumstances that you are, producing in your life, the results that you're producing in your life are a result of what you believe in your heart, of what's going on in your heart. Now, in my book, Cracking Heaven's Code, we talk about this idea that your heart, as Peter says in 1st or 2nd Peter, that the heart contains the inner person. It contains the inner you. Now, the heart stores the conclusions about what you believe to be true in this world, things you believe to be true. That's where you store all that information. And what you believe to be true is what you use to make your decisions. It influences your thinking. It influences your emotions. It influences your actions, your words. Everything you're doing is influenced by what you believe to be true. Now, you can have a fundamental change in who you are at the core of you by literally changing what you believe to be true. Now, in my book, in Cracking Heaven's Code, we talk about that you contain something like software in your heart, by what you believe to be true, and it can have viruses. All software can get viruses, and the way we get viruses in there is to believe lies and to believe things that are not true. When we believe things that are not true, it has impacts in our life. It changes the way we think. It changes our emotions. It triggers, as we talk about in the book, this triangle of beliefs, thoughts, actions, words. All this stuff gets stirred up based on what we believe. And we can be believing lies. If we try to build our life, so if this software coding is like the platform, it's like the foundation that we build everything upon. If you try to build anything in life that's not built upon Jesus' word, if you try to build anything that's not built on truth, eventually it's going to fall. It might go okay for a little while, but eventually the storms of life are going to knock it down. And so we have to have, make sure that the things that we're believing in our hearts are true. So how do we know, number one, how do we know when it's true? And then we'll talk about here, how do we fix it if something's wrong? Because the coolest thing about this is you can change what you believe at the heart level in an instant. You can become a brand new person on the inside. Is it going to change the results on the outside instantly? No, that's not going to change. But as you change what you believe at the heart level, eventually the world that you're seeing on the outside of you is going to begin to change over time. It's only a matter of time once you get the change in belief, and everything flows from the inside out. And so as we change what we believe, how do we do that? Number one, I think the number one belief that you have to have, the overwhelming, we talk about in the book, the principle of the table turner. It's the one thing that really matters. It's just this mindset, this belief that nothing is impossible with God. And that's the number one belief that you have to have. Everything else falls underneath that. The number one belief, nothing is impossible with God. But then you need to spend the time to get into your Bible and to read and to find out what the truth is. What does God really say about your situation? It might be in your health. Maybe you think you're getting older and you can't do certain things. Maybe you think you can never lose weight, or you can never do a certain fitness thing. Well, remember, we talked about nothing is impossible. All of that falls underneath that. Maybe it's in your finances. You think you can never break through. Rich people just have it better. All these types of things. It's these lies that you're believing. Maybe it's about your spouse. Maybe it's about your kids. Maybe it's about you as a person. Maybe it's beliefs you have about God and His nature and character. Typically we break it into three areas. What are we believing that's true about God? What is His nature and His character? What is His goals and His plans for us? Sometimes we get some, lies that we're believing, that God wants to punish us and to harm us and things like that. But He's, we're His children. What do you want for your children? We always talk about there's three goals that we typically have. Well, above all that is first a goal of growth. You're growing and maturing as a person, but underneath that, you're becoming more and more self-sufficient. You're beginning to work properly. You know your purpose and you're moving towards it, and you're doing good work. And then finally, you're contributing to others. When you're doing those three things, and above all that, you're growing. You're in the will of God. You're moving towards His will and His plan for you. That's His plan for you, is to grow up, to mature, to be doing good work, and to be contributing to the world, and to be living a balanced, abundant life. That's His goal. That's His plan for you. You think about your goal for if you have kids. What are your goals for your kids? Most every parent, that's their goals for their kids. And so God has this plan. He wants to get us to this place. But sometimes we doubt maybe what's God's plan for us. Maybe we tried it and He took us on a little different path that we weren't expecting, and we haven't seen the completion of it just yet. And so we doubt maybe and trust. We lack the trust, that God is going to do what He said He's going to do. And then, so some of this is developing trust, is building a platform of trust in our hearts that God is going to do what He's going to say, what He said He's going to do. And then, the next area where we kind of believe lies is about ourselves. We believe that we're not capable, that we're not good enough, that, all these lies and doubts that creep in, like, who am I to be doing this? Or all these types of things. We believe we're not good enough, we're not capable, it's not possible for us. I'm getting older, maybe it's not possible, whatever it may be, it's not possible in my situation. Nothing is impossible with God. So we have to have this belief in what is God's plan for us. What is His nature and character, that He is good and He only gives good gifts. What is His plan for us? He's only doing things that are going to be a blessing to us. And then we have to have this belief of what He can do through us. And then we also have to have this belief on the other side about other people. What are other people? They also have, the Bible talks about He put treasure in our hearts. Well, He put treasure in my heart, but He also put it in everybody else's heart as well. And it's helping other people uncover that treasure. And so how we view other people, we can have a lot of lies and how we view other people. Maybe we think they're not capable, they're not good enough. They can't do this and they can't do that. Well, we have to change our beliefs at the heart level, because the results we're getting in our life are a reflection of what's going on in our hearts. And that's the take-home message. But we get these beliefs. So how do we fix it? If we have, we're not getting results in our life, I heard a good example of this before, is that, if you keep hitting, this is the software, if you keep hitting print on a document and it has typos on it, okay, you can use all the whiteout you want, but if you go back in and you try to print it again, it's still going to have a typo on it. You have to go in, you have to fix the coding, you have to fix the software. And so in the same way, a lot of times we see this in the health and fitness world. People try to keep changing their diet. They've tried every diet in the world. I was that way for a long time. Every diet, every workout, every supplement, every financial gimmick or get-rich-quick scheme. You're trying all these different things to make your marriage better. You're trying all these things on the outside. You're trying to change the external. But what you need to do is you need to go in and you need to change the internal, okay? And then let it flow out from there. Because if you have this typos in your software, you have viruses in your software, and you keep trying to change the external, you're never going to get a change. It might be a short-term quick fix, but it's not going to last. You have to have lasting change. You have to work it from the inside out. So how do we fix it? Number one, if you've been believing lies, number one, forgive. Okay, we always talk about forgive on 3 levels. Receive forgiveness from God. Repent, basically. God, I'm sorry for believing that. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been doing that. Forgive yourself. Okay, because sometimes we beat ourselves up and we condemn ourselves because maybe we weren't, the person that we thought we should be, and these types of things. We got to forgive ourselves. And then I need to forgive and reconcile with other people. I need to forgive on 3 levels. That's number one. Forgiveness opens the channel to get in to make adjustments to the software. It's locked away until you open it through forgiveness. So forgiveness and gratitude are 2 of the things that can open this software up so that you can go in and make adjustments. Now, once the software is open, I have to shine the light on it. I have to take those lies and I have to replace it with the truth. So what has God said about your situation? Maybe the finances are tight, your health is not good, family situations, you got struggles with a spouse or kids, you feel like you don't have a sense of direction, you don't know what your purpose is. We need to replace those with the truth. Remember, nothing is impossible is the number one belief. Nothing is impossible with God. Underneath that, what has He said about your specific situation? Okay, we need to go in, we need to find that, we need to know the truth, because the truth will set you free and cause the changes on the results on the outside in your life, because your life is a reflection of the heart. So we need to find out what is that truth, and we need to replace it. The only way we're going to do this is by spending time with God and allowing Him to shine the light on the areas where we're not believing the truth. Now, another way you can tell if you are believing a lie, this is something we'll talk about again in the book Cracking Heaven's Code. If you haven't got that book yet, that book has a ton of stuff in there that can help with this issue that we're talking about. So I would recommend you get that book because it's got more than we can talk about in this video. But one of the indicators that you are believing a lie is a lack of peace. If you feel stressed all the time, if you feel frustrated, you feel overwhelmed, you feel confused, those are all signs that you are believing a lie in your heart, actually. Okay, a lack of peace is one of the greatest indicators that you are believing a lie in your heart. It's the lack of peace and stress is one of God's greatest gifts to you. It's a gift. Emotions are translators. It's letting you know when there's a virus in your software. Okay, it's letting you know when you're believing something that's not true. So if you are stressed about a situation, it means you're believing something that is not true. Okay, we have to fundamentally go in and change the beliefs of your heart. Number one, we got to forgive to get access into the code. Forgiveness and gratitude open the code to you, allow you to get access to make adjustments to the code. If you're not willing to forgive and you're not willing to be grateful, then you don't have access to the code. Then we got to look for peace. A lack of peace and stress are my indicators of areas where I'm believing lies in my heart, okay? Also, anytime that I'm showing up in life and I'm responding as not the person that I want to be, I'm snapping at people, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, whatever the results I'm getting, the fruit that I'm getting in my life, that's coming from my heart. Anytime something is showing up in my life that I don't like, that I want to change, I can iterate myself, I can make changes to myself. Forgive, gratitude, go in, look at what are the emotions that were being played out. What is it signaling to me? Okay, it's telling me I'm believing something that's probably not true. Now, is there a place for negative emotions at times? Yes, but stress isn't one of them. God doesn't get stressed. God gets angry. God gets discouraged. God regrets doing things. There's things God hates, but you don't ever see God stressed. God doesn't get stressed because He's truth. There's no lie in Him. Okay. There is no stress in Him. We should be people who have no stress, because that's letting us know when we're believing lies. So when I am stressed, that's letting me know I need to go in and change something fundamental that I'm believing in my heart, and I got to make the changes. How do I do that? Replace the lie with the truth. Okay, so for example, I'm short on finances. Well, it says God supplies all of my needs according to His riches and glory. Okay, so we replace it with the truth. He's promised, He says, don't worry about what you'll eat, what you'll drink, what you'll wear, because God's going to provide all those things for you. He cares more for you than He does the birds of the air and the sparrows and things like that. Okay, we need to replace it with the truth. Can any of you add a single hour to their life by worrying? No, you can't. So we have to go in and replace these lies with truth. When we do that, we fundamentally become a new person at the heart level. Okay, a change in the heart, a change in the software causes you to become a different person at the heart level, which is going to cause different results coming out from the outside. Now, once I have that, now I need to ask, all right, what are the plans and the strategies on that fundamental belief? A lot of times you're doing the right thing, okay? You're doing all of the right things. You got all the practical strategies in place, but you have the wrong heart stance and the wrong maybe mindset because of the heart stance. Because remember, your heart, what you believe in your heart, causes changes in your emotions and your thought processes. So once you change that, now you can approach the same practical things that you're doing, the same diet, the same workout, the same financial plan, the same all this. You can do the same exact thing that you were doing before, but from a different heart place, and everything changes. Because the Bible talks about when the kingdom comes, there's righteousness, peace, and joy. So now you have peace and joy flowing into your diet, your workout, your financial plan, your family, all these things, and you're doing the same exact things. Okay, sometimes the actions will change depending on the heart stance, but sometimes you might already been doing the right things. But now you go approach them from a different mindset and a different heart stance, and everything changes. So an example of this, when I was in college, I've got another video on YouTube somewhere. It talks about how God's method for achieving all your goals, or something like that. Which is, when I was in college, my senior year in college, I got mononucleosis, and I missed like 6 to 8 weeks of the season, and I came back at the end of the year, and I was really trying to press, I'm trying to perform, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, trying to do really well, and my results were not good. And so I made a change at the heart level, which was, you know what, I've only got a few games left, it's my last year, it's my senior year, I'm just going to go out, and I'm going to enjoy the game, I'm going to have fun playing the game. Now, I went out, I was doing the exact same thing that I was doing before. I'm still pitching, I'm doing the exact same thing I was doing before, but I'm doing it from a completely different place. I'm doing it from a place of rest, okay? This is the Sabbath rest that the Bible talks about. We've entered into the Sabbath rest. You're still working. You labor to enter into the rest. You're still doing the things you were doing before, but now you're doing them from a completely different heart and mental place, okay? And so I was still pitching, but now I go out and I'm enjoying the process, and I pitched some of the best games that I pitched in all of college. Same thing I was doing before, a different mindset, okay? And same exact thing, some of the best games I've ever pitched. So a lot of times we're doing the right things, but I have to take a different mindset and a different heart stance into the things that I'm already doing, that I'm doing properly, okay? So sometimes that's the problem. Like I said, the results you're getting in life are a reflection of your heart. Just like the water reflects your face when you look at it like a mirror, your life is a reflection of what's going on in your heart. If you don't like what you're seeing in your life, we have to go in and make some changes at the heart level. Remember, big indicators. Look for lack of peace. If you are stressed about something, it's your greatest indicator that you're believing something that's not true. Okay, like I said, go get that book, Cracking Heaven's Code. It walks you through this process of all the emotions, what to believe, how your thoughts and beliefs and all that are connected. It will walk you through that process, and it talks about how to take that and apply it into your health to make your body healthy. Because when you are, your heart and your mind and your emotions are all circulating like they should be, it restores health to your body. It's one of the greatest secrets. It restores health to your body. It's one of the greatest secrets there is to health, is that it starts from the inside, from the heart to the mind and emotions, and then there's the practical stuff like eating better and things like that, but it all flows from the inside out. Now this works for finances, it works for family, it works for your purpose, it works for your work, whatever it may be, it has to change from the inside out. Open up the channel, open up access to the code through forgiveness and gratitude. Look for peace, and then I've got to sow the Word of God into my heart as a seed and begin to trust in it and take action upon it and persevere on it until I see it break through and come through in my life. Now, this takes us into, I'm getting into now God's pattern, which is in my other book, 7 Days with Jesus, God's pattern. As we begin to walk this thing out, I open the channel, I look for a lack of peace, I sow the seed of God's Word into my heart, because the Bible talks about my heart is like soil, and I plant it in my heart, and I store it up in my heart, and it takes some time for it to take root in my heart. Okay, I plant it in my heart, I allow it time to take root. Okay, like I said, everything's not going to change on the outside as soon as you change the inside. I allow it to take root in there. I begin to trust in it and build a foundation upon it, and I begin to take action on the things God's showing me to do based on the new beliefs that I have in my heart. Okay, it's going to cause a slightly different actions maybe. And then I've got to be consistent with those actions. I've got to cultivate that seed. The seed has been planted. It's got to be cultivated. I've got to grow it. I've got to water it. I've got to consistently work that seed until it takes root. And then eventually it's going to begin to spring up. But it takes time. A farmer doesn't plant a seed and expect to get a harvest the very next day. I plant the seed. I begin to cultivate it. And then I've got to persevere long enough. So there might be times where it looks like it's not working. It may be times where it looks like nothing's happening. It might be times where I have to wait. It might be times when the pests and the bugs and the weeds try to come in and choke that seed out. Jesus said when you plant a seed, eventually, the cares of this world are going to choke the seed out. Okay? They are going to try to anyway, but you have to persevere. It says that the person who has an honest, good heart and who perseveres will produce a harvest, will produce an abundant harvest. And so as I go in, I open this access to the code, I look for a lack of peace, I plant the seed, I begin to trust in what's in there. Okay, even though I can't see it, faith is trusting in what I can't see it. It's trusting that what God said is true and that He has good plans for me. It's trusting in that, and I begin to take action on that, and I begin to be consistent, and I show up every single day. I begin to persevere, and I keep going when it looks like nothing's happening. And eventually, number 7, okay, on the other side, this is from my book, 7 Days with Jesus, on the other side is a breakthrough. It's when we enter into the Sabbath rest. I labor to enter into that rest where it breaks through, and now the life that I'm seeing on the outside is a reflection of what happened in my heart. I had a fundamental change in my heart, but it took some time to produce the fruit on the outside. Okay, there's going to be a process that you have to go through to see this reflected on the outside. It's not going to be an instant thing. You can have an instant change of heart on the inside, okay? And you will probably see some fruit of it on the outside in the short term, but the real lasting fruit is not going to come until you go through this process as you walk it out with God in your life. And 8th step beyond that is how do you take it and you make it unique to you. Okay, this is the mystery in the Jubilee in the 7 Days with Jesus book. How do you make it unique to you? You're going to break through, and now you're going to do something that's unique to you that the world has never seen before. You're going to find your unique gift to the world that nobody else has. You're going to be the best in the world at something. Okay, I know I'm bouncing a little bit around all over the place, but I was just kind of inspired by this proverb this morning. I'm reading through, and it just jumped off the page at me. Proverbs 27, I think it's 19, I forget the verse now. As water reflects the face, so your life reflects what's going on in your heart. And it reminded me of all these things we talked about in Cracking Heaven's Code, where my heart level is changing my thoughts and my emotions, all based on what I believe. I'm storing these up in the inner part of me, and it's all changing my results, my actions, all that. And then as I go through this process, there's a process for planting it in my heart and reaping the harvest of it in time. I've got to plant it, I've got to cultivate it, and then eventually I've got to reap the harvest of it. And there's a process that you have to go through with God to see this thing walked out. And sometimes, remember, like I said, how do you go after your goals? This is something you go at it from angles. Okay? We don't go directly at the goal. You seek after the internal state of being. Seek peace and joy. Okay? Seek peace, joy, love. Seek those. And then now all your goals start to get hit because you're seeking those things and you're working from the inside out. You can be doing all the right things on the outside, but you're doing them from the wrong heart place, and you don't get the results you're after. You have to change the heart place and then go after the goals, and it's a much different result that you get, and it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more enjoyable process. When I would pitch those best games that I ever pitched, I had a lot more fun in the process as well. Not only did I get better results, but it was a whole lot more fun. Okay? Change the way we view things. Come at it from a different angle. Turn the tables, as we say. Put yourself back in control by changing the beliefs in your heart, and your life will begin to reflect what those changes that you made at the heart level. This is one of the greatest, putting all this together is one of the greatest things I've learned. You can become a fundamentally different person at a heart level, and it will change you from the inside out, and it's an amazing thing.